Welcome back to the Tracy Take. Today, Ryan and I are continuing our 7-round mock draft series, and today we will be doing the Arizona Cardinals and who we think that they will be picking in all of their picks in this year's 2023 NFL Draft. But before we get into that, if you have not already, help out the channel, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell so you can get notified when we release new content. Ryan and I, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the NFL Draft, and right now we are at 580, so a little over halfway there, and it would be a huge help to help out the channel, and it's the easiest way. So hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. Ryan, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
The Arizona Cardinals, they have a new head coach. They have a quarterback who is super athletic, super elite, but unfortunately he's coming off a serious ACL injury, so very curious on what the future looks like for them. But they are definitely in a rebuilding mode. Also in the division that they're in, there's two really good teams that are in there. So it's like, kind of, what's the point? So this draft, they're picking 3rd overall. I think there's going to be a lot of key pieces that they get. And I actually like their draft. I like a couple of the moves that we make with them. So starting out, picking number 3 overall, who do we have the Cardinals taking?
So we have Will Anderson Jr., the outside linebacker, edge rusher from Alabama. The best edge rusher in this class. He just does everything well, plays the run well, really solid pass rusher. And I think this is a guy that Jonathan Gannon would love to get his hands on and just kind of mold at the next level. And I think he's a good replacement for J.J. Watt and a good cornerstone for that defense to build upon for the next 5 to 8 years. And so I just really like that pick. I think it's a really solid pick. And so I think it'll be really interesting seeing what they do. I do think more and more now that Carolina has traded up, if there's another team that wants a quarterback at this 3 pick, I think the Cardinals would be more than happy to move back from 3 and potentially trade back. They would miss out on the generational talent that Will Anderson is, but I think it's another interesting scenario that could happen for the Cardinals here.
Well, and that's actually one, and I think that precedent has been set also with the Niners moving up to go get Trey Lance, that there could be a decent draft haul to come back. So it would be, do you want to get Will Anderson or do you want to get potentially 3 first-round picks over the next 3 years, depending on who the team is. I will say I'm looking at the Titans as well, like who is at a similar spot. I believe the Niners were at 12 and the Titans are at 11 now and when the Niners did that scenario. So potentially that could be a trade spot if they want to come up and trade with them, or the Falcons maybe, or well, I don't think the Raiders would now, just with Jimmy G going there. But that being said, though, this is like a perfect scenario for the Cardinals and all the quarterbacks that are being taken off. No brainer with Will Anderson. Maybe if things clear up with Jalen Carter, but that'll be something that we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But as of right now, even then, honestly, I can still see them taking Will Anderson when it comes time to pick in the draft. So let's move on to the next pick, though, and this is where we mix things up a little bit. So we only did first-round trades in this 7-round mock draft, and our final trade of the first round. And I actually really like this pick because they only go up a couple of spots to get arguably the top 5 prospect in this entire draft. Just the fact that Bijan is a running back is why he's fallen so far. But they need to improve at the running back spot. James Conner has been doing well, all things considered, in this Cardinals offense. But I think going and trading up and getting Bijan and then having that 5th-year team option as well would be huge for this offense. Pair him up with Kyler Murray. Get into an offensive system that works for them. It can be absolutely lethal and elite. Let's say they keep DeAndre Hopkins, or if they go and get a couple of other guys, this can continue to have this offense grow and be super effective over the next couple of years.
Bijan, best running back prospects in Saquon Barkley. Like you said, he only fell to 31 because he is a running back. And I think if you look at the last few drafts, there has been a surplus in running back talent that's come into the league. And I just think Bijan is going to fall because of that. I think teams are going to want to invest in other positions. So also couple that with a really deep running back class. I think this is a great pick. Trading up, you're only giving up pick 170 to really move up 3 spots to really grab Bijan.
Well, and that's where getting that extra year of value is that's absolutely worth. How many round 5 guys make it in the NFL? Like very little. So there's not even. I would say infinitesimally small. So I think having that extra year of eligibility potential if Bijan doesn't pan out is absolutely worth the risk.
Yeah, no, definitely. But let's move on now to their third round pick. They traded up with their second round pick, so they don't have a second round pick anymore. But Eli Ricks from Alabama, I really like Eli Ricks. He only played, I think, in like 8 games this year for Alabama, but when he was on the field, he was shut down. And I think this is a guy that Jonathan Gannon would really like. I think
Mm-hmm.
he would be perfect for the outside of this defense. I think you put Will Anderson on the edge, Eli Ricks on the outside, and I really like that combination. And then you couple that with Zaven Collins and then Isaiah Simmons, their linebacking
Yeah.
group. In their linebacking group, I think that's a really good combo. Jonathan Gannon has a really athletic, lanky defense that is going to play some physical football. So
yeah. Well, and this is just definitely part of the rebuild, obviously, within Arizona.
Yeah.
They just need talent everywhere. So just getting good athletic guys that can come in and compete, maybe even start day one, especially at pick number 67, there you could absolutely do that. So let's continue the kind of Alabama-Texas trend here and then go to their next pick at pick number 97. One thing to notice, though, also is if some of our picks are off a little bit, it's because the system that we used, they counted all forfeited picks as a pick.
Yeah.
So if they're off 1 or 2 picks, that is why. But going to round 3, pick number 97, Moro Ojimo, defensive lineman out of Texas. Once again, focusing on the defensive side, having Jonathan Gannon come over, defensive head coach, really rebuild this defense. And pairing him up with Will Anderson, I think, would be a huge step in the right direction for this team.
Yeah. My big takeaway with him, he's a very versatile defensive lineman. With the exception of nose tackle and maybe like an outside linebacker, he could really kind of play wherever. Super athletic. He's good against both the pass and the run. And to get a guy like that who might not be a superstar, but is going to be a cornerstone potential second contract guy for a rebuilding team, I think is huge for the Arizona Cardinals, just to get a really versatile, solid piece there on the defensive line. And again, those linebackers have been having a tough time out there just because that defensive line has been fairly porous, especially in the run game. And I think you look at the way that San Francisco and Seattle are winning, they're going to be trying to win in the trenches to start. And I think beefing that up, especially with a new defensive head coach in office, then that would be
Jonathan Gannon.
Jonathan Gannon. That would be really good to solidify the interior.
Absolutely. So, so far up to this point, I remember we were talking about it. I actually really like this draft so far and how everything's panning out. I mean, if you can go get Will Anderson and Bijan Robinson, I'd say that's already a pretty good draft class. But then even the next 2 guys are going well. Yeah. And even then moving on, they're picking a couple picks later to start the 4th round. This is a guy that you really like. We didn't get to see him too much at Stanford just because of injuries, and also Stanford is not good. So, but receiver Michael Wilson really turned heads at senior day. What makes you like Michael Wilson in this pick so much?
So, in the last 3 years, he's only actually played in 13 games due to the just nagging injuries. And he was really able to be healthy and show out at the Senior Bowl what he's able to do. And I think getting him in the 4th round, I think you're getting a true outside weapon. DeAndre Hopkins is more than likely going to be traded at some point. So if you're watching this video, DeAndre Hopkins has not been traded at this point. But I think Michael Wilson is a really solid route runner. I think he ran in the mid 4.4s. So he has good speed, really solid hands. He was the best wide receiver at the Senior Bowl. And there are a lot of guys from the Senior Bowl that we picked ahead of him, and it is only because of that injury concern. And so I think, especially for a team that wants size at the receiver position, getting Michael Wilson here at 106 is great value.
Yeah. No, I agree as well. And if similar is kind of what we said about like when they traded away the 5th round pick, if he does end up panning out, or if he does have injury issues, it's just a 4th round pick, but there's a lot of upside with this guy. But then just kind of go over the final 2 picks. They're picking again at pick 182 in the 6th round, and also pick 215. We had them going Connor Galvin, offensive tackle from Baylor, also Ventrell Miller, linebacker from Florida. By here, you're just trying to find, I would say, just positional needs and guys that can maybe come in and compete, and guys that you can develop. At minimum, just be special teams guys. I think both of these guys fit that need, especially on the offensive line. With them, today, it's March 14th. They just re-signed Kelvin Benjamin as well. So I think this actually would kind of work out if they wait a little bit on offensive tackle, since they've already started to address that need in the free agency. So what do you like about these two guys here?
So Connor Galvin, huge guy from Baylor. He's 6'7", 307, and he's a good athlete. And at this point, I think you're just looking for traits. He has long arms. I think he projects more as a swing tackle to like a true right tackle in the NFL. And Ventrell Miller, a little bit smaller. I want to say he's like 6'2", 230, but he comes downhill really, really well, and he plays the run well. And I think if you're just looking for depth at that position, I think getting Ventrell Miller in round 7 is good value. So,
I agree. In general, if this is the draft that the Cardinals had happened, just with getting Will Anderson and Bijan, I think that would just be a win because those are two arguably of the top prospects just in general going into this class. But based off positional needs and also how popular quarterback is, neither one of them are going to be taken 1-2 overall for good reason. I'm not saying they should be, but that would already be a step in the right direction for this organization to rebuild and to start competing in the NFC West again.
Yeah, no, and this is kind of a gap year for the Cardinals because Kyler Murray is going to miss most of the season. They are rebuilding new head coach and everything. So I think this is a good draft to start that pseudo rebuild because they do kind of have that franchise quarterback in the waiting. He's just injured this year. So I really like this draft. This is one of my favorite 7-round mock drafts that we did. I think let's go ahead and wrap up the Cardinals there.